previous elections, you see that the East is overwhelmingly voting in favor of the pro-Russian candidate, and the West, which is on the other side of the Dnieper River, is usually voting overwhelmingly for the anti-Russian candidate, whoever that happens to be. So there was always a need to address this, and I had argued for a plebiscite. Other people argued for it. I also always felt very strongly that it was in Ukraine's interest to be a neutral state, that it could be much like Austria, and like Austria, could profit enormously from its neutrality. And this of course, was sabotaged by first the Bush administration, then subsequently Obama. And I think that Trump was subverted by his own Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense and his entire national security team, who all wanted to press ahead with this expansion of NATO and incorporate Ukraine. So I think President Trump was left sort of standing there without anybody supporting him, and then found himself out of office. And it wasn't long thereafter that Putin gave up, because he said, there's no one I can talk to. There's no one who will negotiate with me. I'm left no choice. Because what we did after 2014 was build this enormous Ukrainian military power that was designed to attack Russia, frankly, from eastern Ukraine. Ukrainians said they wanted to get back Crimea. We said fine. And they wanted to punish the Russians living in Luhansk, and Donetsk for being Russians and not converting to become 100% Ukrainian, speaking Ukrainian, and so forth, so on. So, bottom line is, you get this war. And from the very beginning, I think Putin made some miscalculations. He thought that if he demonstrated how serious he was and his country was about the growing threat to Russia in eastern Ukraine, that we would pay attention to it. Well, we did. Well, we decided to double down on the threat that we were creating. And his great fear was that in addition to this Ukrainian army, that of course theater ballistic missiles would show up that would put his entire nuclear deterrent as well as all of his major cities at risk. So he marched in, and initially it was a very cautious approach designed to do as little damage as possible, kill as few people as possible. And it took really almost until the summer to figure out there's nobody out there. Nobody's going to talk to us. Nobody's going to negotiate. We're stuck. We're going to have to change our entire approach. And so we go into this long haul approach, which is basically a 30-month plan for a 30-month war. And that's what he adopted in the summer. We've had this massive Russian military buildup to the point now where we have what Biden and his supporters said he didn't want, which is this large and powerful Russian military power sitting on NATO's eastern border. In other words, he went in theoretically to protect NATO, and he got the opposite. And NATO is rapidly falling apart. And we see from these leaked documents that have come out the tremendous disunity inside the NATO alliance. And for your purposes, I'm sure your listeners know that one of the fatal mistakes that we made was to assume that Russia was this economically weak, backward power. I think someone put it, was it McCain, who said Russia's a gas station with nuclear weapons?
That's right.
Well, they discovered they could not be more wrong. So Russia has an abundance of resources and energy, of course, which makes it the perfect partner for China that needs all of that to continue to sustain its economic expansion. And we've ended up on the wrong side, in the sense